Hey guys, it's Loom here, and today I'm going to be showing you another fabulous design from Suzanne HB. She is on YouTube under that name, and you can also find her on Instagram as Crazy Just Might Work. So definitely check her out and give her a follow. What we have here today are her own original designs. These two on the right here are the wheat kernel designs, which is what the full tutorial will be on today. And this one is pretty much the same except one step, but this is called the corn cob bracelet. So I'll show you this step to make that one as well. But these two bracelets do take approximately 116 bands depending on your wrist size. That is how many it took me to make for my wrist size. And without further ado, let's get started. To make this bracelet, you do need 2 looms if you want it to fit all the way around your wrist without an extension. You need 1 C-clip and your hook. For this bracelet, I will be using 2 different color blues. One is jelly, and I do actually have the new blue glow in the dark, and then white. So what we're going to do for this bracelet is make sure you have your loom set up in a staggered position with the arrows facing away from you. The first thing that we're going to do is lay a single chain border. We're going to start in the middle, going to the left, and we're going to run it down the left side. Now for me, I am going to stop down here, and I'm going to make sure that I leave the last 5 pegs. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 6. And then I want to stop before that one. So I'm going to stop here, making sure that there are 6 pins left, because that's how long I know I need to make it to fit around my wrist. So if you want to just follow along to make it the size of my wrist, that is great, unless you know about the length that you would need for 2 looms. So without wasting your time any further, I'm going to start with white, and I'm going to go ahead and just start laying the bands. So without any twisting, you're just going to lay one from the middle out to the left, and just continue going down the left side, like so. Now this bracelet, I actually love making this design because it's a semi full loom design, but it's also, well, I guess it is a full loom design, but then it's also like a semi growing design as well. And you'll see why I say that as we go along. I think it's super cool. So just keep laying them all the way down, super duper easy. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have stopped here, and I have 5 pins, left here. But now I want to take one more from this last one that I just laid, and you're going to lay it diagonal to this right one, going up, just like that. So once you've done that, your loom should look like this. And now we're going to go back to the beginning. I'm just pushing them down a little bit. So now what we have to do is lay one of our horizontal bands. So we're going to be stretching it across horizontal on each pin, going straight across. So I'm going to use, what am I going to use? Sorry, I didn't know which one I wanted to use. I'm going to use my glow in the dark. So we're just going to go starting from this pin here. You're just going to stretch it straight across like that. And you're going to do that all the way down the loom. Super easy so far. Just keep going all the way down. You may have to push the side bands out of the way a little bit. And now for my last one, going from here. Just like that. So now you should have the horizontal band going across on every single pin, going all the way up the loom. So it should look like this. I'm going to kind of just push them down as I go up. It's not absolutely necessary, but for the next bands that we're going to lay, I just feel like it makes it a little easier. I got a band stuck in mine, so I'm just going to try to grab that. There we go. Alright, so go back to the beginning of your loom. Back here. And now we are going to lay another single chain border. But we're going to lay it just going straight down the middle this time. So you're going to lay it all the way down the middle until you get to the very end where we have our last band coming in. Right here. So just lay that single chain going all the way up. Now I am actually going to switch to blue this time. And just do that all the way down. Getting closer to the end here. And I don't have a fast forward button on the on what I use to do my videos, so sorry if it just is kind of dragged out. But yeah, so just make sure you stop where the end white band is, like that. You can push the bands down a little, but we're going to actually loop them now, so you don't really have to. But this is what your loom should look like now. Just come in a little bit more. So now we are going to turn our loom around so that our arrows are now facing us. Go down to the beginning here. And we're going to add a cap band onto this middle pin here. I'm going to fix my light real fast. Okay. So, once again, we're going to add a cap band onto this one here. So, just wrap it around that pin 2 times. So, now I have that cap band on here. And now what we're going to do is just loop the center bands that we just laid. So, only that single border that we just laid is all we're looping right now. So, starting on this pin here, you're just going to move that cap band out of the way. Grab the very top band. Don't lose your cap band, just bring it forward. Going in that next one, grabbing that band, bringing that forward. So it's just like a regular single chain, but make sure you're not touching these horizontal bands. They shouldn't be touched yet. So you're going in front of it like that. So don't go inside that horizontal band. Just make sure you're going in front of it, grabbing your band, bringing it forward. and do that all the way up until all of these blue bands are looped. Just be careful not to go inside that horizontal band. And for my last one, so now this is what your loom should look like. So now what we're going to do, now what we're going to do is, we're going to work on these horizontal ones. So now what we're going to do is actually just cross them over to the right side. So just starting on your left side, grab this side of that horizontal band, just bring it straight over to the pin opposite of that, back to itself, like so. Now, you may not fully understand this right now, but once you start making it, you'll know exactly what I mean. But if you want to make the wheat bracelet, which is the looser version, you're going to follow my instructions, and I'll tell you that next. But if you like the tighter version, which is the corn cob, you do everything exactly the same, except right now, how we just looped that over, you're going to leave that just like this. Like you're going to just cross it over just like I showed you, like that, and do nothing else. Now what we're going to do, since we're making the wheat kernel bracelet, is now that we have crossed that band over, which we have to do to all of them, we have to grab the bottom, turn it a little bit. I should have used darker jellies so you can see better. There, you can see like that. Okay, so we have, here's my 2 blue jellies. So we have to grab the bottom jelly. Oh, it's getting stuck. And loop it up. Kind of like you would do a slip knot. Well, exactly like how you would do a slip knot. So just grab the bottom of the jelly that you're crossing over and pull it up. So if you see here, it kind of makes that like slip knot right there. So you want to do that going all the way down. So bring it over and then bring that bottom band up. Bring it over, bring the bottom band up. And you need to do that all the way down the loom. But like I said, if you want to make the corn cob one, which is the same exact thing except you don't bring that bottom band up, that's for the tighter version. So just don't do the slip knot part if you want that tighter corn cob bracelet. And just do that all the way down the loom. Some of you may think it's faster to just bring them all over to one side first and then go back and pull all the bottoms up. I like to do it this way so I can make sure I don't forget any. I have 2 more to go. Whoops. Alright. So now all of our horizontal bands should be crossed over with the slip knot going down. So it should look like this. Going all the way up the loom. And don't worry if some of them look separated or if some of them's together, because that will fix itself. Plus we will have to fiddle with a little bit at the end, because when you take it off of the loom it looks a little funny. So now that we've done that, we actually have to do that all over again, except, well, what we're going to repeat 2 more times is laying the horizontal bands and the border chain, single border going down the middle. We're going to do that 2 more times. So what you can do now is you can either go in, and I'm not referring to the ends. This very end and the very end at the beginning, you don't do this. But you can go in and grab like this and like take it off so it's out of your way. And you can do that all the way down the loom and push it down. If you don't do that, I'm just going to get this back on here real quick. If you don't do that, it's fine, because you don't have to do that. It's just so that it's not in your way for the next two layers, because we have to add 2 more layers on. So that's completely up to you. You can pop it off, or you can just push it way down and you can pull it all off at the end. I personally haven't taken it off as I've made my previous design, so I'm just going to push it way down, and hopefully that doesn't confuse anyone. I just find that it keeps this band over here tighter for the next process. So if you're going to follow me, that's fine. Just make sure you push it all the way down. If you are going to take it off to give yourself more room, just do not do the very ends. And make sure that these bands, your horizontal bands that are crossed over, don't pop off. So now turn your loom back around with the arrows facing away from you. And now we're going to repeat that process again. I'm going to switch my colors again this time though. I'm going to do white again, and then I'll do dark blue jelly for my horizontal bands. So starting at the beginning again, we need to start by laying our horizontal bands. So you're just going to go all the way up the loom, laying your horizontal bands. Just like that. So just do that all the way down the loom. Okay, so I did go ahead off camera and just got all my horizontals laid just to save on some camera time. So just make sure that you've done that all the way down the loom. And now that we have all of our horizontals laid, and of course if you're not done doing that yet, hit the pause button. But once you have all your horizontal bands laid, now we need to add that single chain border going up the middle again. So I will be using white this time instead of the dark blue. And just do that same thing you did the first time. Just lay that all the way down the middle. Whoops. Oh, I'm shooting rubber bands all over, but what's new? Okay, so there's my last one that I just laid. So now we actually have to do the looping step again. So just make sure that your loom looks like this with your horizontal bands and then your single bands going down the middle. Turn your loom around so that your arrow is facing yourself again. Once again, we're going to add a cap band onto this end here. So just wrap that around 2 times. Wow. Okay, there we go. So once you have your cap band on, we're going to loop the middle up only. So you're just going to go into this pin here, push back that cap band, grab the very top band, which is white for me, and bring it forward. Going inside that one, grabbing the next white band, and going forward. Once again, just make sure you are not touching the horizontal band underneath. Make sure that you're staying in front of it. You do not want to be going inside of it. just go all the way up the loom. Okay, so I did my last one, and now we're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to cross the horizontal bands over again like we did, like we did the first time. So starting at the beginning here, we're going to grab that blue band, cross it over like that, and now this time there's going to be more bands on there because we have that one band left over from last time, that light blue one there. It's kind of hard to see in the light. But, you know, we have to bring this over to make that slip knot. So you're grabbing that bottom dark blue one, bringing that up to make your slip knot like we did the first time. But this time we also have to bring this bottom blue one up as well. That's what connects the two together. So you also have to bring that one up. Now you can do that one at a time, like you can do your bottom blue and then come back and grab the lighter blue one. Or what I do is cross it over, and then I actually grab them both at once. But just be careful if you do it like that. So I just come back, put my hook in, and I grab both of the blues, making sure that it's the bottom. So you grab the bottom two there and just bring them up, and it does the same thing. So cross it over, grab the bottom two, bring it up. Now if you're making the corn cob bracelet, you would not be doing the slip knot. So at this point you would be bringing two bands up, but it would be two of the light blues, bands that you did not do a slip knot, only if you're doing the corn cob bracelet. So hopefully you understand what I'm saying there. Okay, so continue crossing your horizontal over and then bringing the two bottoms up. I have found that once you cross over, if you go in here instead of like over here, if you go in here in the middle, it's much easier to grab the two bands to bring it up. Much quicker and easier, because you don't have to worry about the side bands getting in the way. So cross over, bring the two bottoms up. Do that all the way down the loom until you have them all crossed over and all the two bottom bands brought up like that. Okay, so I went off camera and did finish bringing all my horizontal bands over and bringing up my slip knots once again, just to save on a little bit of time. If you've not done that, please hit the pause button until you've gotten that far. At this point, you just want to push this layer all the way down, because once again, we need to add one more layer on, doing the exact same thing. If you are removing them to get them out of the way, that's fine. Just do not do the very first or very last pin. So turn your loom back around with the arrows facing away from you. And we are once again going to add our horizontal bands on. So I'm going back to the first color I used, which is my light glow-in-the-dark blue. And I'm just going to start laying my horizontal bands again. So do that going all the way up the loom once again. So I think this bracelet is super easy to make, but I think it's so like cool and fun. I don't know, I just think it's different for a change, and I hope you guys like it as well. So I'm going to go off camera again and get my horizontal band laid. So I will be right back. Okay, so I got all of my horizontal bands laid once again. Oh, look at that, I missed one. Sorry about that. So now I have all of my horizontal bands laid. So your loom should look like this once again. And now, for the last time, we need to add that single chain border running all the way down the middle. So starting at the beginning, once again, arrows still facing away from you. Just do that single chain border all the way down the loom one more time. Okay, so I did go ahead and get that laid quickly. So now I have all of my middle single chain laid. Turn your loom around with the arrow facing yourself. Of course, hit the pause button if you've not gotten this far. Grab a blue band to match your center. Add a cap band onto this very first pin. Wrap it around twice. And then now we're going to go in once again inside this cap band, grabbing the top band. Just make sure you're only getting that top band. Bring it forward and proceed down the middle of the loom once again. Just looping that very top middle chain. Don't mess with that horizontal band underneath. Do exactly what you did the first 2 times. If it pops off a little, just push it back on. Okay, so now I did my last one. Going back to the beginning of my loom, I am going to now cross over my horizontal band to the right side. And remember, now you need to bring up those 2 bottom bands. So you need to bring up the 1 to make that slip knot. And then you need to bring the bottom one up from the last layer. Like that. Just like you did the last time. So cross it over. Bring up the 2 bands underneath. Crossing over, grabbing the 2 bands. And just keep going all the way down until it's all looped. And remember, if you're doing the corncob bracelet, you'll be bringing 2 layers up that are the 2 bands coming up will be from the last layer, since we don't do the slip knot on that one. So this is what you should have so far. So since I didn't take any off, I have 3 layers on this middle one here. If you took it off, you'll only have 1 layer, and then the 2 will be like here in the middle. Either way, it doesn't matter. It comes out exactly the same. So now you're going to come to the very beginning here with the arrow facing yourself. And we need to go in this pin here because we need to start looping our side bands over here, which is what closes the bracelet up. So there are lots of bands on this pin here. I'm just going to turn mine to the side so you can see. I think there are 6 bands. Yes, there are 6 bands that we have to get through to grab that very bottom white one. So you need to push back all 6 of these top bands and grab that very bottom white one. And there should only be 1 band. Just carefully bring that up. It may even get a little stuck because there's a lot of bands there. And you're going to bring that over to this right pin here. Now we're going to push down inside of this one. You need to get through all the bands. There's 3 of them. Mine blue is hard to see because it's so light. But there is a blue one there. So you need to push through all 3 of those and grab this bottom white one. So push those 3 back, grab the bottom one, bring it forward. Now we're going inside. Make sure you're pushing that blue one out of the way, grabbing that white one, bringing that forward, and keep doing that all the way down. And just make sure you're going inside that blue one this time, or whatever color you have linking onto that pin. And when you get down to this one here, go inside the blue one again, grabbing that white one, and you're just going to bring that to the left, to this pin here. Now I'm going to turn my loom a little bit, just so I can see what I'm doing. So down here we have quite a few bands. I believe there's like 8. Yes, there's 8 bands on this one down here. You're going to want to take 1 single band. I'm going to just use white. You're going to put your hook down into the pin and just kind of slide it out to the side there. So see, my hook is going through all the bands, and you're going to place the band, holding it with my thumb, place the band on the hook. I like to turn my hook a little bit so the band doesn't pop off, and you need to slide that band up through that pin so it's wrapped around all those bands. As you can see, it's inside of all of them. And then just place the left side onto the hook like that. That's actually where you're going to apply your C-clip. So I like to put it on my finger. Grab your C-clip and place it on like that. Now I like to keep my finger there for a moment because now we're actually going to pull it off of the loom. Being that there's so many bands on that one, I like to push my hook down and just give it a little bit of a push or pull until it pops off like that. And now carefully I let go of it, but make sure that it does not, that you don't lose them. You can even keep that in your hand if you feel better of not losing any bands. I like to grab a chunk of it and then you just pull up like that, and just take your time, go down the loom and just keep pulling up on your bracelet and it will pop off like this. Don't worry if it looks super duper crazy when you take it off, because the first time I made it, it was completely like crazy looking. So we will fix it. I'll show you how to. So now I have mine completely off of the loom. You need to give it a good stretch. This is how mine came off. It's not too bad, actually. Not like my first one. Oh, and I should have said this in the beginning, and this is just my personal opinion. The silicone bands, I mean, they look good in pictures, but for this bracelet, I felt like they were just a little too squishy for this design. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. My rubber bands were like sticking out everywhere. But this actually came out very clean. I guess it depends on the bands you used, because my first one came out like really messy looking. But if you have like pieces sticking out like real big, like say it's like that, because that's how my first one was, you just want to give it a nice big pull. But these bands on the end move, and that's what actually makes it look clean or messy. So you may need to just like slide these bands a little bit. So if you have any bands like sticking out, like this one here, just pull your side bands up a little bit. Just push it up or down or whatever way you need to. But this is the type of bracelet that does need a little bit of fiddling around with for the end result to look good. So, I mean, you'll definitely know what I'm saying once you have it in person. If they're like this, touching, just move. Move them a little bit. But yeah, I think this bracelet is super awesome. Let me zoom back out. So to hook this bracelet, just grab your C-clip, come to the other end here. I guess you can kind of hook it wherever, but this one's sticking out, so I'm just going to hook it to that one. Like that. And there you have the completed wheat kernel bracelet. This is created and designed by Suzanne HB on Instagram as Crazy Just Might Work. Don't forget to tag her and myself if you do make this design. We'd love to see your creation. Hopefully you guys had fun making this design as I did. I thought it was super awesome. And you can check me out on Instagram under Loves to Loom as well. But yeah, there you go. So hopefully you guys like it as much as we do. And yeah, so hit the subscribe button below if you haven't done so already. And that big thumbs up button as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you at my next video. Bye!